I want to talk to you about why Ellen DeGeneres, I hope that's how she pronounces her name, is just like YouTube and Twitter and Meghan Markle, and why they're so far away from the British royal family. First of all, here's an article in the Daily Mail. Exclusive, she treated us like we were nothing. This unnamed witness might be a genuine aggrieved employee or could be a fantasist telling a pack of lies. But I find the story believable because of the sort of culture out of which DeGeneres and Markle and Twitter and YouTube have come. The story here is that DeGeneres would order her staff about, that's the dog shaking himself, or, I'm worried about him. In fact, I'm so worried I'm getting blood tests for him tomorrow. There's something not right about him. I'm awfully afraid it might be his liver, because when I rub his belly sometimes he yelps. Not every time, but anyway, yeah, I'm getting some blood tests done. Oh, no, right, here's the story here is that DeGeneres would order her staff about. She would read them lists every morning about things that they'd failed to do the day before. And she'd do stuff like leaving matches in the corners of cupboards and odd places to make sure that her staff were cleaning every inch of her house. And according to this, she seemed to take pleasure in firing people for minor offences. I think one of the offences was something like serving something on the wrong plate. It was something like that anyway. Now, if that's true, it's the behaviour of somebody who has a lot of power, but no brakes on that power. Someone who reckons because she has the whip hand, she should actually be using the whip. Now, let's pretend that YouTube and Twitter are each of them an individual person, a single individual. Most YouTubers, you must have, if you've been watching YouTube for any length of time, you will notice that a lot of YouTubers, the ones who aren't running makeup channels or I don't know what, clips featuring kittens or horoscopes, I suppose, will know. But the people who are talking about generally serious issues in the news will know there are no rules in the YouTube universe that you can rely on. One day you can say something that the next day will get you cancelled or demonetized or something. It's all completely arbitrary. On my own channel, when I upload a video, I have recently been getting warnings about advertising suitability, in which I'm told that because I've assessed several videos wrongly, I'm not a reliable judge of my own material, and therefore everything I upload has to be double checked. Clicking on the information button, I discover that the several videos was one video, and I think that might have been the one where I was talking about Macbeth. I raised when that was demonetized, I actually raised a question about it. I said, hey, what's wrong with that? And they said, well, it's wrong, and that's the end of it. I, like many others, actually, are in an abusive relationship here. And YouTube is doing this to us because it can. It's like Ellen DeGeneres. Oh, God, what's her name? DeGeneres. It's like Ellen DeGeneres and comes out of the same cultural milieu. It has the power, so it uses it. And of course, it's getting worse because unrestrained power always expands into more and more areas, and it always goes really mad sooner or later. I'm going to contrast this with the British royal family for a reason. First of all, they're very powerful and have a lot of influence, but they're constrained by protocol and expectations to the extent that they can't use the power they have in the way that DeGeneres or YouTube uses theirs. I'm pretty sure that's what disappointed Meghan Markle so much. For instance, many of the servants in the royal households are people who came into the work in their late teens or their early 20s and stayed there all their working lives. They are not people who, as this article here, or it'll be there, won't it, says about DeGeneres, they're not people who stick around for a couple of months before they're fired or they stalk off under their own steam and then get replaced by some other underpaid skivvy. The ones in the royal household are people who stay there for years, or, as I said, possibly for their entire working lives. But the culture of bullying and power that's become the norm in California was what Markle thought the royals were all about when she came into the royal family. And when it turned out that she wasn't some Disney princess with animated teapots and candelabra to do her every bidding at whatever time of the day and night she wanted, when it turned out she couldn't order people around as she wished, like people, and it's not just Ellen DeGeneres, of course, it'll be a whole lot of people in her social circle and broader. And when it turned out that Markle couldn't do what she wanted and that she had to attend official functions which required her to smile and be charming to people she didn't know night after night and to talk to certain people in a certain way because that was what was expected, well, that was all too much for her and she got itchy feet. Americans don't understand the relationship of the British, or indeed even the Australians, to the royal family. But if you study how they operate, you'll see that for all the honours given to them, they're surrounded by stifling protocol. There's no such thing as a free lunch. And this is what Markle wanted. She wanted the power and she wanted the freedom as well, probably. And what DeGeneres does is the same. She has the power and she uses it to do what she wants, apparently. And this is what's happening with YouTube and Twitter as well, for sure. And it's all part of the same culture. You chaps in America make much of your freedom from royalty and hierarchy. It's given you an enormous advantage in innovation and economic progress, for sure. I'm not knocking that. The problem is that this freedom there's always another side to the coin, isn't there? This freedom has brought with it the freedom for somebody in that position to wield unconstrained power, a power that has no brakes, and a power, I have to warn you, a power that can end in the sort of madness that is the end of all unconstrained power. And you have to find some way to rein in that power. I'm afraid that if Trump was still there, he might do it. He didn't take his chance while he was president. He might have been able to do it in a second term, I don't know. But Biden certainly isn't going to do that. And I suspect it's going to get worse before it gets better. Why not treat yourself or a favoured relative or friend to these magnificent examples of merch? The mugs and t-shirts come in the Graniopteryx design or Granbo with a firearm or the more deadly knitting needles. Go to www.graniopteryx.com and whatever platform you're watching this on, please click like, subscribe and share.